Well, it gave everybody a wonderful new label. It's Diana's unstable and Diana's mentally imbalanced. And unfortunately, that seems to have stuck on and off over the years.
I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there.
At 41, Prince Harry has made some shocking revelations about the day Diana died. He surprised everyone by sharing what really happened inside the royal palace when the devastating news of his mother's death broke. Diana was known as the Queen of Hearts, a princess adored by the public, but maybe not as much by her own family. Now, after Prince Harry's recent revelations, it is clear that something suspicious might have been going on inside the palace. So what exactly did he reveal about that day? Does it finally confirm all the rumors we have been hearing for years? Let's find out. Background. Before we tell you about the big revelations from Prince Harry, let's take a step back and understand a bit more about Princess Diana's background. It is important that we see where she came from and what shaped her life before we get into the events surrounding her tragic death. Diana was not just any ordinary girl. She was born into a family deeply connected to royalty. Her father was the 8th Earl Spencer, and her mother came from a long line of aristocrats. In fact, Diana was born at Sandringham, which was the Queen's private estate. Think about that, a childhood where the Queen's estate was your playground. She practically grew up playing with Princes Edward and Andrew, surrounded by royal traditions from the start. Yet despite this privileged beginning, Diana's life was anything but the fairy tale it appeared to be. Let's not forget her parents' marriage. It looked picture perfect from the outside, but behind the curtains, it was full of conflict. Her parents, John and Frances, had their fair share of struggles, and Diana, even as a little girl, was not sheltered from it. Their marriage had been rocked by tragedy before Diana was even born. They had lost a son. It is no surprise that this kind of pain leaves scars, even if the outside world does not see it. And to make things worse, when her younger brother Charles was born, family tensions only escalated. Diana's early years were marked by her parents' messy, bitter divorce. By the time she was just 7, her mother had left, and it was not for the reasons people usually think. There was infidelity, sure, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. Her father won a custody battle, but what kind of life was that for a young girl? Raised by nannies, sent off to boarding school, and left to deal with the emotional chaos at home. No wonder Diana had a tough time focusing on schoolwork. She was far more interested in spending time with friends and getting involved in extracurriculars than sitting still and studying. And let's not forget how complicated things got when her father remarried in 1976. Her new stepmother, Reine, Countess of Dartmouth, was not exactly winning any popularity contests with Diana and her siblings. They even had a nickname for her. They used to call her Acid Reine, if that tells you anything about how well they got along. At one point, Diana, furious with the way Reine spoke about her mother, almost threw her down the stairs. But of course, this was just the beginning of the family drama that would continue to plague Diana's life. Then in 1978, Diana's father passed away from a brain hemorrhage, which further fractured an already fragile family. By this point, it was clear that Diana's life was not going to follow the traditional royal path. She was not cut out for the strict academic life her sisters thrived in. After failing her O-levels twice, she dropped out of school at 16. But you know what? That's when she finally found a bit of freedom. She became a nanny and started living on her own in London. Babysitting, teaching dance classes, cleaning, these were the odd jobs she did to make ends meet. Not exactly what you would expect from someone born into nobility, but that was Diana, always breaking away from expectations. But as much as she tried to carve her own path, her family had different plans. Her sister Sarah was already moving in royal circles, and that's when Prince Charles entered the picture. At first, Diana was not particularly impressed with him. In fact, she found him to be a bit dull. But out of respect for her sister, who had a brief fling with Charles, Diana kept her distance. By the time Diana turned 19, things had shifted. Sarah had moved on, and suddenly, Charles started paying more attention to Diana. He was lonely, he said. A weekend visit to Balmoral led to more conversations. And before long, Charles proposed while they were sailing. But the shocking part is that even then, Diana had doubts. She knew something was not right. She could sense that Charles's heart was not entirely hers, and that's where Camilla Parker Bowles comes in. Camilla was Charles's confidant, and while at first, Diana thought she was a friendly face, it did not take long for her to realize the truth. Charles and Camilla had a connection that went far deeper than just friendship. So, when Charles proposed, Diana was not convinced it was genuine. He said he loved her, but did he really mean it? Diana was not so sure. As the wedding day approached, Diana's doubts grew stronger. She felt trapped, and who could blame her? She was just 20, about to marry into one of the most powerful families in the world, and already she felt isolated. Despite all this, she put on a brave face, walked down the aisle, and became Princess of Wales. But her fairy tale was already starting to crumble, and this was just the beginning of the turbulent life she was about to face. So, what was their marriage like? How did Diana find out about Charles's affair, the broken marriage? The red flags started right from the beginning. The honeymoon period was supposed to be a time for love and bonding, but for Diana, it was the first of many lonely moments in their marriage. The emotional distance grew quickly, and it became clear that Charles was not fully committed to their relationship. Diana was struggling with bulimia due to the emotional turmoil, feeling emotionally isolated and insecure about Charles's attachment to his former girlfriend. Her anxieties worsened. Charles didn't help matters. In fact, he seemed indifferent to Diana's concerns about Camilla. He left her feeling unsupported and even more vulnerable. In October 1981, Diana announced her first pregnancy, and for a brief moment, there was hope that this might bring the couple closer. But even that joyous news could not mask the growing cracks in their marriage. Diana's pregnancy was not easy, and it became worse when she fell down the stairs. While both she and the baby were unharmed, Diana later revealed that the fall was no accident. In a desperate moment during an argument with Charles, she threw herself down the stairs, hoping for his attention. Instead, Charles simply rode off on his horse, leaving her feeling abandoned and unheard. When their son, Prince William, was born in June 1982, Diana had a brief moment of happiness. But the joy of motherhood could not erase the strain in her marriage. She soon suffered from postpartum depression, feeling more alone than ever. The royal family, with its rigid structure, didn't offer much in terms of emotional support, and Diana felt increasingly estranged from them. By 1984, Diana was pregnant again, this time with Prince Harry. There was a flicker of hope that things might improve, especially since Diana seemed in better spirits. But when she found out she was expecting another boy, she kept the news from Charles for as long as she could. Charles had made it clear he wanted a girl, and when Harry was born, it was clear that he was disappointed. This further widened the emotional distance between them. Even Queen Elizabeth was said to be disappointed with Charles's attitude, though her relationship with Diana remained respectful. As the years went on, Diana's mental health deteriorated. The stress of royal duties, combined with the emotional neglect from Charles, weighed heavily on her. She turned to medication, sleep aids, and anything that might provide some relief from the pain she was experiencing. But the real heartbreak came when Diana's worst fear was confirmed that Charles had rekindled his relationship with Camilla. Diana was devastated. They had been married for 5 years, and the truth she had long suspected was finally out. But instead of confronting the issue, Diana chose to play along. She maintained a public image of composure, even as her private world crumbled. However, Diana was not going to suffer in silence forever. Then came James Hewitt, her riding instructor. Feeling unloved and rejected by Charles, Diana found comfort in Hewitt's attention. But, of course, this brought its own set of problems. The media quickly picked up on the rumors, and Diana's private life became the subject of public scrutiny. While all of this was going on, Diana's relationship with the rest of the royal family remained strained. Her connection with Sarah Ferguson, for example, was cold at best. But a tragic event brought them closer. In 1988, a deadly avalanche occurred during a ski trip in Switzerland, where both Charles and Andrew were present. The event shook Diana and Sarah, and in their shared concern for their husband's safety, they managed to put aside their differences. Unfortunately, one of their companions, Hugh Lindsay, was not as lucky, and the tragedy further deepened the emotional rift between Diana and Charles. As if things were not bad enough, Charles's involvement in the accident became the subject of an investigation. It was clear that the marriage was beyond repair, and Diana was left to deal with Charles's coldness and indifference. Despite all the pain, Diana was not one to give up. She sought treatment for her bulimia, determined to regain control of her life. In a moment of rare bravery, she even confronted Camilla at a family event, asking her to be honest about her relationship with Charles. Unfortunately, it didn't change anything between them. When all of this was happening in Diana's personal life, she got involved in another big controversy. So, what did Diana do that made people point fingers at her? public image. You see, Princess Diana was not afraid of anyone, especially when it came to breaking down the stigma. At a time when people were terrified of HIV and AIDS, Diana did something brave. She shook hands and hugged a person infected with the virus. This simple act spoke volumes and challenged the public's perception. And let's not forget her powerful speech, where she called out outdated views on the illness and urged people to show compassion and empathy. But 1992 was not a great year for Diana. It started with the death of her father, John Spencer. With all the pressure building up, Diana finally decided to open up. In the same year, she supported a book called Diana, Her True Story, which revealed the breakdown of her marriage with Charles, as well as her struggles with bulimia and mental health. After the split, Diana began a secret relationship with Dr. Hasnat Khan, who was a heart surgeon of British and Pakistani descent. Their relationship was intense, but also complicated. Khan's private nature clashed with the relentless media attention Diana faced. To protect their romance, Diana even resorted to lying. But eventually, the strain became too much. Khan feared public scrutiny, and Diana's mother disapproved of the relationship because Khan was Muslim. After 2 years, they ended things in 1997, leaving many to wonder if Khan was truly the love of Diana's life. And then the conspiracy theories started, conspiracy theories about her death. So, who did people believe killed her? Conspiracy theories. It was the night that changed everything for the royal family. Diana, along with Dodi Fayed, left the Paris Ritz in a car driven by Henri Paul and accompanied by bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones. But they never made it to their destination. As their car sped away, they were pursued by paparazzi, weaving through the streets of Paris on motorcycles, trying to capture the perfect shot. But their journey came to a devastating end in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, where the car crashed into the wall and pillars. The scene was total chaos, debris everywhere, and yet, while some photographers tried to help, others kept snapping pictures of the wreckage, as if the tragedy that happened before them was just another tabloid story. Diana's injuries were far more serious than first realized. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. Her death was officially declared there. Back in London, Prince Charles and Diana's sisters immediately traveled to Paris to bring her home. The royal family didn't escape criticism for how they handled Diana's death. The public felt they had been slow to react, emotionally distant, and too removed from the pain people were feeling. But in the end, Prince Philip encouraged William and Harry to walk in the funeral procession, which became one of the most iconic moments of that time. The sight of two young boys walking behind their mother's coffin broke hearts everywhere. But that was not the end of the story, far from it. The circumstances of Diana's death led to endless questions and theories. Dodi's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, was convinced something darker had taken place. He believed Diana and Dodi were victims of foul play. Many shared his suspicions, wanting answers beyond the official story. Henri Paul, who was the driver, was found to have been drunk at the time of the crash. But to some, that explanation was not enough. They wanted to know more, to dig deeper, to find out what they felt was being hidden. Diana herself had long suspected she was being targeted. She referred to the royal family as the Firm and believed they were plotting against her. Squidgygate, the infamous leaked phone call, was just one of many times when Diana felt the system was working to undermine her. She believed these leaks were intentional, a way to discredit her in the public eye, and her fears went even further. Diana was convinced that Charles was not only unfaithful, but also capable of something far worse. She believed he might be plotting to kill her, to make way for his lover, Tiggy Leg Burke. Her sense of unease was not paranoia. It was deeply rooted in her experiences, especially after the death of her former bodyguard, Barry Manicky. Diana had been close to Barry, and when he died in a car accident, she could not shake the feeling that it was not just a coincidence. Even after Diana passed, the rumors just wouldn't quit. James Hewitt, who was one of her former lovers, tried cashing in by selling some of her personal letters. Of course, that only stirred up more drama, with people speculating whether he could be connected to Prince Harry. The media circus around Diana didn't calm down one bit after her death. In fact, it just started more conspiracy theories, keeping the gossip alive. And then came the big revelations by Prince Harry. What has he said now that has shocked people around the world? The new revelations. Prince Harry has had it rough, especially after losing his mom, Princess Diana. In 2020, he shocked everyone. especially the royal family when he and Meghan Markle made the bold decision to step down as senior royals. This decision sparked global outrage. But let's be real, Harry had his reasons. After everything he went through, he wanted to shield his own kids from the pressures of royal life. Eventually, Harry and Meghan sat down for an interview and talked about the reasons for their decision. Meghan talked about the constant media attention, the relentless criticism, and how her mental health took a hit. The worst part was that she said the royal institution completely ignored her cries for help. It is hard not to think about Diana here, who faced her own battles with the royal family, trying to speak out but never really getting the support she needed. Harry also had some words for his father, King Charles. He openly criticized Charles for being distant and not showing any real support after Diana's death. This definitely didn't help their relationship, which was already strained. And then there is William. Rumors started that William had leaked some details about Charles's affair. It is no wonder that Harry and the royals have struggled to patch things up. In 2022 came another revelation. He claimed that someone in the royal family, maybe even William or Charles, had leaked damaging info about him and Meghan. And in 2023, a book called Endgame came out. This fueled even more speculation that William might have been behind it all. Things only got worse when King Charles reacted angrily to the book. This deepened the divide between him and Harry. By 2024, the relationship between Harry and his father was at an all-time low. Charles was apparently too busy to even meet with Harry, which pretty much sealed the deal on their strained relationship. It is sad, but not surprising given everything that has come to light. The royal family may seem all proper and perfect on the outside, but these new revelations have people questioning just how real that image is. What do you think of Prince Harry's new revelations? Tell us your opinion in the comments below. If you want to hear more shocking stories, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we have got a lot more of this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.